Fanny sings a song that changes everything in Outlander Season 7, but what exactly is it, and why was it so important to Claire? This little girl is the younger sister to Jane Pocock in Outlander, the young woman whom William Ransom fell in love with but couldn't save. Jane and Fanny's mother had died years before, which meant the younger sister had nowhere to go after Jane's death. Naturally, Jamie and Claire agreed to take the little girl in. However, as they prepared to take Fanny to Fraser's Ridge, Claire began to suspect that there was more to Fanny than it had initially seemed. Before Jamie and William brought Fanny to the church where Claire was recovering from her gunshot wound in Outlander Season 7, Master Raymond appeared to Claire in a dream. The man apologized to Claire, though he wouldn't reveal precisely what for. He said that she would soon know, and then Claire saw a brief vision of blue heron's wings, the same vision she saw back in Outlander Season 2 when she gave birth to her stillborn daughter, Faith. Later in the Season 7 finale, Claire discovered that Fanny's mother had been called Faith as well. While this seemed a coincidence at first, Fanny's song suggested otherwise. Fanny sings "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside," recorded in 1909. Fanny's song was written centuries after she was born. Jane and Fanny from Outlander custom image by Anna Nieves. Claire overheard Fanny Pocock singing "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" in the old church, and the fact that the little girl knew this tune was a significant shock. "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" is a real-world song written by John H. Gloverkind in 1907. For some years after, the song was popular in the English music hall scene until it was recorded by singer and comedian Mark Sheridan in 1909. This thrust "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" into mainstream popularity. Over the following decades, it was recorded countless times, primarily as a song to entertain young children. "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" would have been in prime popularity when Claire was a child. However, the majority of Outlander Season 7 is set in 1779, decades before Gloverkind wrote the song. This is why Claire was so shocked that a little girl from the 18th century would be singing it. Of course, in a world where time travel is possible, there could be a great many explanations. After all, Claire herself had performed the Andrews Sisters' Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy all over Scotland earlier in Outlander. However, the fact that Fanny had learned the song from her mother, Faith, raised some alarm bells. Claire sang this song to her daughter Faith in Outlander Season 2. It looks as if Fanny's mother and Faith share a connection. Claire with Faith in Countlander. Outlander Season 7 is the second time the Starz TV show featured the song "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside." The first was back in Outlander Season 2, Episode 7, Faith, when Claire sang it to her daughter. The child had been stillborn, but once Claire regained consciousness following the miscarriage, she begged to hold her child all the same. Mother Hildegard agreed, and Claire sat in bed holding little Faith for several hours. It wasn't until Marie-Louise de la Tour arrived at the hospital and asked to hold the baby that Claire allowed Faith to be taken away and buried. While Claire held Faith and examined her red hair, tiny fingers, and toes, she sang "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" to the infant as a lullaby. At this point, there didn't appear to be anyone else in the room, and even little Faith was past the point of hearing her mother's song. However, Claire takes Fanny singing the same number as a sign that her own daughter has somehow lived. Fanny said that her mother, Faith Pocock, used to sing "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" to Jane and her when they were little, a fact that proves that this mysterious woman must have had some connection with time travel. Fanny's mother must be, or know, a time traveler. She must have learned this song from someone from the 20th century. Faith Jane and Fanny's mother in Outlander. Faith Fraser and Faith Pocock sharing the same name could be considered a coincidence, but the fact that Fanny's mother knew the song Claire had once sung to her daughter implied that these two are the same person. However, Fanny knowing "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" doesn't necessarily mean that her mother was Claire's daughter. All this detail definitively proves is that Faith Pocock had some sort of connection to time travel. There's no doubt that the song was written in the 20th century, but everything will depend on precisely how Faith came to know this futuristic number. It's possible that Faith Pocock was a time traveler herself. Like Claire, she might have been born in the 20th century but accidentally found herself in the past when she slipped through the standing stones. This would mean that her name and knowledge of "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" is a complete coincidence. Similarly, Faith might have learned the song from another time traveler. Perhaps Jane and Fanny's father had been from the future and taught the lullaby to his lover. Or, Faith herself might have heard "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" from her parents, never realizing they were time travelers. Claire believes Fanny's mother Faith is her daughter in Outlander Season 7's finale. Could Claire actually be right about this? There are still several possible explanations for why Fanny Pocock knew the song "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside" in Outlander Season 7. However, as of the finale, Claire seems to have committed herself to the theory that her daughter Faith had somehow lived. This has less to do with evidence and more to do with Claire's own instincts. Her dream about Master Raymond may have been just that, a dream. However, something about the mysterious man's apology and the vision of the blue heron made it impossible for Claire to get Faith off her mind. Then, Fanny's revelation felt like fate. It would certainly be poetic if Claire's first and last lullaby to her daughter were used to reveal that Faith had actually lived. However, all that is clear as of Outlander Season 7 is that Jamie and Claire were meant to raise Fanny Pocock. The little girl was raised in unfortunate circumstances and has gone through significant losses. Jamie and Claire, who have also experienced considerable tragedy, are the perfect new family for Fanny. They understand her, whether she is their granddaughter or not. Just the fact that Fanny knows, "I do like to be beside the seaside," is proof that these Outlander characters are profoundly connected.